members in their effort to secure a fair, equitable, and respectful contract. Yes. SAG-AFTRA has put together a set of guidelines that allow these guests to still participate in our event and others like it, even during the strike. These guidelines require the members to steer away from discussing specific shows or characters by name and to avoid comments that might be seen as promoting projects that fall under the union strike order. The actors appearing at our show are encouraged to discuss other more general topics about their lives and work. We wish them great success in their strike endeavor, and we appreciate your understanding and support. Now, with that being said, please put your hands together for your moderator. Give it up for Claire Kramer.
Hello, 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 everyone. 90s squad, it is Sunday. How are you? That's kind of like a sad cheer. Are you guys having a good time? It's been like it. All right, it is my last panel of the weekend, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for everybody who's come out. I feel like we've had some amazing, amazing conversations on this stage, and some may say we've saved the best for last. Who wants to be the stars in charge? Please welcome to the stage, Holly Marie Combs and Rose McGowan.
This is for all of us. Thank you.
Welcome, you guys.
I found the people. We found the people.
The people are you guys glad to see them? All these years later, and a million projects, you know, these people are here to celebrate one in particular, but you both have such prolific careers. I want to talk a little bit about that. But what does it feel like to know that something you've been a part of is so impactful to so many people?
We can't thank the TV channel that kept us on. Not by name.
Not by name.
But there was, in general, another channel that picked us up after that other network that we can't talk about decided to become another network, and they didn't want us anymore. So this one kind of breathed new life into it, which is why many more people got to see it, and it still kind of lives.
I think it's amazing that we've been a multi-generational show and that we've brought so many families together and so many kids that are now young adults and adults were raised with magic and knowing that there's something really special and wonderful and unique about them. No matter what the outside world said, you know your magic.
And building on that a little bit, what do you think, you know, as you guys were filming this show that we can't talk about, what do you think made it so relatable and made people just really, not just invest in, you know, the show, but the characters and you as people?
It's definitely, well, for me, it was definitely the family aspect. I wanted it to be a show that was about a family, and then witches later was sort of just part of the outfit and the outskirt of it. But to me, it was really a core family show. And I know it took on, you know, now we have this term called like a comfort show, which we didn't have before. So I know it's helped a lot of people with anxiety. And for some reason, we have no idea why. Probably because it's just so silly and mindless. Just kidding. But it is. It's become people's like, you know, it's nice to go to something familiar. And, you know, we always, you know, beat the bad guys in the end. So that's predictable. It always wins. And then also, surprisingly, it became like a safe haven for people who felt they couldn't share who they really were with the world, much like we couldn't share that we were witches. And we did not anticipate that, but it's been, you know, a safe place for a lot of people, or from people who didn't have a typical family. And these were all things we did by magical accidents.
With magic.
You both have been working, I feel like, forever. What do you think attracts you to stay directing, producing, writing, acting? What is it about that fills, you know, your soul?
Our bills. Just kidding. No, but there was a point where, you know, I wasn't a child actor anymore. I wasn't, you know, the teenager. There was a point when I became a grown-up where, like, I had to decide, if I was gonna get good at this and stay in it, because you kind of have to, that's a hard transition to make, and a lot of people either don't want to, they go to college because they're smarter than I, or, you know, you have to stick with it and grow through the changes and take the punches, and because it's not easy being a teenager, period, but it's definitely not easy being a teenager in this business. And it came a point where I was like, okay, you have to make a decision. Rose did not make a decision. She was discovered and held captive for the last 30 years.
Until I broke my way the fuck out.
I admire you so much for everything you've done in your career, but also in your non-career. Tell me about your memoir and how you found yourself to write that. I mean, that's so, like, it's a memoir. It's so personal. It's so raw. Can you share a little?
Well, I wrote a book called Brave, and the audiobook.
You can totally talk about books.
It's a book.
It's a book. I'm really proud of the audiobook. It was, I mean, the book was like a top 10 New York Times bestseller, but I'm more proud of, in a way, the audiobook. And, you know, I didn't have a traditional writer's experience because they hired spies to hunt me and steal half the book before it was published and basically try to kill me. So it was not like, so right now I want to write a second book, and I've made some headway, but transparently, when I open my laptop, I have an anxiety attack. I wonder why. And so it's hard, but I'm really, really proud of it. I'd always loved words, and I had no idea how to write a book, but I was like, you know what, my dad was an amazing painter. I'll just paint with words. And it's about 10% of my life story, and that's about as much as people could kind of handle, but I'm like, it's a lot even at that, right? But I really wrote it because I was raised to be a volunteer, and I was raised to help people, and I really thought, like, this is a universal story. There's some aspects of it that are extreme, like, you know, situations, but it's all of us. It's most of us. And it's not just about that, it's really about how to get brave and be brave in your own life. And the last lines in it are, I know you can, I know you have it in you just by being brave. And that comes in many shades and colors. And I'm immensely proud of that work. Thank you.
Yeah. If you haven't had a chance to read it, I highly recommend it. It was a great book, and I hope that you can crack through the anxiety and get the second edition or the second version out.
She will.
Well, you need to go. Yeah, you need to. Maybe you guys need to go on a retreat or something.
I don't think you've ever quit anything, so.
No, I guess they say with anxiety, you're not supposed to avoid what gives you anxiety, but I know a lot of you know about anxiety. It's a struggle. It's a real struggle. Yeah, PTSD, super fun. Woo!
Holly, as you were talking about transitioning from child actor into adult, like, you took on producing as one of the transitional steps, I feel. So how does that change the dynamic from just being an on-camera talent to all of a sudden having that much more responsibility?
Well, I was always terribly opinionated, but that's because Shannon raised me. So we both had opinions. We had opinions about each other's opinions, basically. So we were very invested in the show too. So we always were we just felt it wasn't like opinions or being bossy. We were just terribly invested in every aspect of the show. And so it didn't really change much for me. It didn't change my behavior much. But you know, it was nice to have the official title. It meant that the producers had to officially look at me when I was talking and try to pretend like they believed I could be in this position. And I was like, yes, I am. I see it. It's in the credits. It goes really fast, but it's there. But it really didn't change my day-to-day, really. I was just a title officially.
Mm-hmm. And Rose, you directed a short that premiered to like great reviews at Sundance. So can you tell everybody a little bit about that story and how that came about?
Well, I always, sometimes on sets, I'd be on, certain directors would not be good with the crew, or I always was like, good is not great, great is great. And I always wanted to work for that. And it was finally just kind of time to do my own thing. And I directed something called Dawn, which because of the bad guys who haunted me for many years, has not been made available online because of them. And they blocked a lot of things, but it was amazing. It was nominated for Grand Jury Prize at Sundance, and super proud of that. It was just a really special thing, and
It was good. I saw it. You sent it to me. I liked it. It's very pretty visually.
Deep thoughts.
Deep thoughts. Yes.
What's the premise?
It's set in 1961, and it's kind of like it's a love story gone wrong. But it's really more about like what happens when you don't follow your instincts and you don't have the words to say no and you don't know how to stand up for yourself. And I set it in a really like peachy pink world. I used the color palette of a 1961 Disney film called The Parent Trap, the original. And then I made it really kind of dark and twisted at the end. And it's a really somber but beautiful piece. I'm really proud of it, yeah.
Do you prefer, yeah. And I hope we do get to see it. Do you prefer directing versus on camera?
You know, on camera, like, I expected when I got on set as a director to have, like, nerves and anxiety, and every time before they'd start roll camera, my heart would start racing as an actor. And when I directed, I felt like I was wearing, like, pants that fit me right for the first time, and it was just like, I got this, and it was great. And, you know, I'm a very detail-oriented person. So, like, on Charmed, it drove me crazy that they would have books on the coffee table on set, but like we were young women at the time, and like they didn't care what the books were. It would be like, one of them drove me crazy because I always had to look at it, and they're like, just put a book there, but they didn't care about making it real for the actors. And it was like, one of them was like, literally, The Power of Pittsburgh. And in the kitchen we had like a book that was like microwave recipes for Thanksgiving from the 1970s show. nailing that making it real thing. So for me, I kind of like to do things at a higher level. So hopefully it'll happen again. I don't know. I don't, you know, there's not a lot of love lost between me and the industry.
Yeah. Do you want to return, or are you?
I go back. I do miss performing because you know what? I was good at it.
Yeah.
But you know.
That's probably what made you like such a great director, even though you've only dabbled in it a little bit. You've worked with a ton of great directors. What else?
I learned what not to do.
Yeah, I love that. Holly, what do you want to do? Are you more interested in producing? Are you more interested in creating a project for yourself, a vehicle for yourself, or what do you see in this next phase of your career?
I don't know. I'm semi-retired. I pretty much became Piper in real life. Like, my husband and I have 2 restaurants, so I'm carrying plates. I'm filling glasses. I'm yelling at people for breaking things. I don't know how it happened. It wasn't truly by design. All these things just kind of, life is weird. And I'm doing something. I think we're still allowed to talk about it. I'm doing a podcast with my former the podcast world, I guess, is safe from SAG throwing daggers at us for speaking. So I'm doing that with them, and it's fun to go back in time and sort of re-watch it because I don't remember a lot of it anymore. I mean, some things I remember like word for word, and other times I'm like, that happened? We went there? Who let her wear that?
There should be a podcast just for 90s wardrobe on camera. I mean, it's really funny.
I mean, the sweater sets are killing me. Like, how many sweater sets does one person need to wear?
Was it you?
Yes.
Apparently a lot.
Too many. And they were exactly the same color.
So since you have been doing the podcast, what has surprised you most about the rewatch? Aside from the wardrobe.
Aside from the wardrobe and our terrible special effects that I like to pick on all the time. But that's the fun part, is that I didn't see the final edits all the time, but I have seen pieces of every episode, but literally going back in time. And I catch mistakes in my performances. I'm not as critical in other people's because that's not polite, but I catch myself having bad actress moments. Like some guy, you weren't in here yet, but some guy got a buzzsaw thrown into his chest. And I love this actor, and I'd worked with him before, and literally, I'm crying over his now deceased body, and I put my head in his chest.
With the buzzsaw?
No, we took it out, but still. I was like, there would be a splotch of blood on my forehead, and I was like, ooh, bad actress moment. Where was the
director moment.
Where was the director on that to be like, honey, that was beautiful, but a little separation from you and the gushing chest wound. Gushing. Dead.
It's okay, I did a movie with a machine gun leg, and it wasn't until after I was done filming, I was like, how did I shoot that? Pelvic muscle control, yeah.
Where is the trigger? Is there a safety? Are you always locked and loaded?
Always locked and loaded.
Always.
Okay. Just walking away from that. What is something that you guys like to do in your, aside from the entertainment industry, forget about all that, what are your passions? What do you like? Are you into yoga? Do you, what do you collect? Do you love to cook? Tell us a little bit about, Holly and Rose from the side that people never really get to see.
Well, see, again, I became Piper and I started cooking because I had too many children to feed. It was expensive to go out, so I had to start cooking for them. And there was no catering truck suddenly, right? People don't understand as actors, we are infants. That you don't dress yourself, you don't know how to do your own hair, you definitely don't know how to do your own makeup, and you never cook for yourself. There is breakfast, lunch, and usually sometimes dinner there. So yeah, I had to learn how to cook for my children for survival. And then, I married a guy who was a cook, and it got ugly. He's very competitive. Anything I make, he has to make better. And so now I just go ahead, you go. No, kitchen is all yours. So it's worked out well for me.
What would be your signature dish? The Holly signature dish?
Goodness, what do the kids claim I make too much all the time? Meatballs. I do meatballs for them every Sunday. They're completely ungrateful. They're like, meatballs again? And I'm like, one day you will love me for this. It's an Italian tradition. Grow up.
Amen.
Grow up. How rude. How rude.
Maybe you could, with a meatball cookbook, start with that and build it out.
Yeah, well, now they get whatever I put it in, but usually, because we were trying a lot of vegetarian and vegan recipes on them, because if the kids will eat it, anybody will eat it. But now they look at me very skeptical with every meal and say, what is this? I'm like, it's food, and you will live if you eat it. That's what it is.
For me, I've been a longtime collector of first edition, 1940s, old crime novels, weird, and nerd.
I know what to get you for Christmas.
Thank you, Dash will have it. And I also, I had a great love for classic cinema. One of my favorite jobs I ever had during, my Hollywood career was co-hosting with a man named Robert Osborne, a show called The Essentials that was on a channel called Turner Classic Movies, and to get paid to sit and talk about classic film and cinema. For me, when I grew up, my father, I have a lot of brothers and sisters, so we would go to revival theaters, and Lawrence of Arabia, when I came to the US, was the first movie I saw on screen, and I didn't know that it wasn't a modern movie. I thought it was current, because I had no idea. And I was it was 3.5 hours with an intermission, and I was yes. And then later I did a a goofy sci-fi called Phantoms with Peter O'Toole, who was Lawrence of Arabia, so stuff comes full circle, and we were friends till he died, which is amazing. Now, I live in Mexico. I explore a lot of Mexico. I drove across, me and my fluffy dog drove basically from like 100 miles off the coast of Cuba in Mexico, which is the farthest away you could get from Los Angeles and be on the same continent. I drove all the way to like the California desert, just me and her, and like had great adventures. Yeah, like through the jungle, through mountains, desert terrains. I do a lot of driving.
I love that.
Rose, yeah, is like a classic movie encyclopedia, in case anybody has any questions.
I learned more from that than the directors I worked with.
Okay, so talk to me about that. How did that knowledge inform your characters?
It informed my characters a lot. Like I played Paige in Charmed as if, I mean, this isn't cinema, but it was TV, like classic. I played her like, I was like, I'll play her like a baby Lucille Ball, because I knew, you know, a new cast member coming on, people are primed to hate her. And so I was like, I'll just, you know, kind of make her goofy and charming and silly and awkward and trying her best kind of thing. But the other ways it informed me certainly was just with technical aspects of filmmaking. But in Jawbreaker, I based that character off a movie called Leave Her to Heaven with an actress named Jean Tierney, who's, I mean, now you would say she's like a psychopath, sociopath, but there's a scene where like she pushes her husband's son. He's in a wheelchair. She pushes him off a cliff or something. And he's like, darling, why did you do that? Darling, we just needed more time together. So like in Jawbreaker, when they're like, you know, I'm like, I killed Liz. I killed the teen dream. Deal with it.
That is such an underrated movie, I feel. You guys were
I think it's
all...
rated pretty highly.
Yeah.
People that know.
People that know. I love that. Okay, so dream project, Holly.
Well,
Other than cooking.
when
and-
Rose and I aren't watching Dateline,
I managed to wean myself off it.
did you?
Recently.
How?
I managed. I was like, no more YouTube, Dateline. And I, for some reason, prefer watching it on that than like paying for like the network version of it, because I like the weird, like...
The ads?
No, I don't pay for ads. No, you become a premium member, no ads.
No ads.
But it's like just a bizarre community of weirdos that seek out Dateline on YouTube. Like, and
So
it
there's
looks like someone
comments.
shot it off their phone. And I always turn the light off and I would go to sleep. And then I'd wake up with Keith Morrison, the 3 heads in the duffel bag. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, okay, enough poison at night.
It's not good for your subconscious, for
No.
sure.
I think my dog hated it so much I stopped.
Yeah, but we're not watching that anymore. But I now have moved on to SVU, and it's bad news, because if I turn it on, I'm gonna go 3 episodes, Steve. I'm gonna stay awake. I need a new sleep ritual.
I have a theory on that. I think it's the gunk sound. It rolls over to the next episode.
It
So
does,
that,
real
like,
quick.
It just takes you right into it. They don't do commercial breaks between gung and the next episode. You're right in.
They learned that from Netflix. Ooh, do not speak of the devil.
Are you still watching?
Yeah.
I am
Leave
still
me alone.
watching.
Stop harassing me. I'd turn it off if I wanted to.
Are you still there?
I'm like,
And they
are
were
you?
like, am I?
I don't know. It turns into an existentialist question.
Fuck yeah, I'm still here.
Am I here? Where am I?
Rose, how freeing, or describe your experience, I don't want to put words into your mouth, about, you know, changing your entire culture and living down in Mexico and sort of, you know, what your life is like now.
Well, my father lived on the west coast of Mexico for 35 years. And he always said, when you need healing, go to Mexico. And I found for me, it's just a much kinder environment. And people smile at my dog when I walk down the street, or me, you know, they say, hola, buenas tardes, you know, like, and I grew up in Italy, so I can roll my R's, so that helps me with the language. And I feel bad for the propaganda that the U.S. perpetrates against Mexico and other Latin American countries, and other countries in general, but specifically Latin, I think it's fucked up. Because honestly, I've like had my wallet returned 4 times, had my phone returned. I tend to lose little objects all the time. I had a bag of just like $1,000 in a little bag that a little old lady comes running out, and she's like 2 days later, and and, you know, bad things happen everywhere. There's never been a school shooting there. There's never been a mass shooting. It's not the same thing. And honestly, really sick of the U.S. propaganda. It fucks me up. So it's for me, it's like, you know, when a lot of this country was being indoctrinated in the world with fear of something that in the air, I was like, you know what, I'm going to see what's like, let's do real life or death. Let's live real. And I prefer that. For me, I like honesty.
I love that. Don't tell people more. People will move there. What can you do with your extensive film knowledge? You know, your.
I honestly don't care. I honestly do not care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. If I ever do a movie again, I do not care.
No,
I'm proud of the work I did.
Your classical movie knowledge.
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing?
I just
no
know
coffee table book, no like anything I mean, it seems like
it was a part of my life, and I think I was also, you know, it's hard because I was raised in an era where like you were supposed to be kind of mysterious as a star, and then the social media thing happened where you're supposed to be not mysterious at all. And for me, I'm actually, like, I've had to be very public about certain very painful things, and it's not my nature. I was always very private, and I just had to do something for the greater good. So suck it up. But it's nice just knowing stuff for myself, and occasionally meeting people that like talking about like a niche subject.
Or equally passionate.
Exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
that is when you have real moments of
So
connection.
like Johnny Ramone of the Ramones was like one of my dearest friends, and before he died, and we would have like, he had a room, he had a real thick Long Island accent. And he's like, come to the horror room. He had a room that was just for like set up like for horror films, but he would like also had one of the great film cinema poster collections in the world. And so he'd be like, Rose, what do you want for your birthday? And I'm like, I'd like Shirley Temple 1936, and it would like be this beautiful linen back poster that would arrive for my birthday, or like Ava Gardner and Mogambo, or like, I had a lot of great art from him, you know. So he was like a like-minded old movie weirdo too. So that we're out there.
I think it must be very liberating to be like, I really don't care if I ever am in this business again, you know? And I'm wondering once you get past that satisfaction and that liberation, what do you see for yourself?
You know, I mean, I don't live in the world of what traditional actors live in. I live way, way beyond that in terms of like what happened to me, what was done to me, who was hunting me. And like I fought with power at the very highest level. So it's like seeing behind a mirror that everybody else lives on the other side of. And it's an unfortunate situation. I wish I could erase a lot of what I know. I'd really rather not. It doesn't make life the most fun in a lot of ways. And but for me, I was discovered. I was passionate about films, but I never had that hole in my chest that was going to be, I need to be famous. And in fact, people that love being famous kind of repulse me on a deep level. I find it very suspect. I just consider myself a person amongst people and a worker amongst workers.
I love it. And Holly, what about you?
I feel like I have one more show left in me.
Thank you.
One more show left in these boots. You know, the kids are all in high school now. The oldest 2 are out of the house, and nobody wants to hang out with me anymore. So I am going to go back to work and be cool again. Just kidding.
And procedural? You talk about SUV or
No. I slide into Mariska's DMs all the time. She won't talk to me at all.
Keep at it.
You know, I am going to. I won't be ignored. I'm gonna be like her psycho stalker.
As someone who did choose the business and who did start early, what advice would you give for anyone who is interested in pursuing a career in acting or directing or producing?
It's tough. It's not easy. It's emotionally not easy. I mean, you just kind of take your hits and you have to keep going because you're always too something or not enough something. I was especially too short a lot of the time, you know, or you're too young or you're too old or you're too this or that. And so it's a lot of judgment. It's a lot of criticism. It's 90% no's before you even are lucky to get 10% maybes. and then maybe like 2% yeses. But I've found that the auditions that I cared the least about were the ones that, okay, this sounds bad, are the ones that I got, but not all of them. I cared very much about a few of them that I did get, but it's those auditions where you're just like, I've got to go pick somebody up at the airport, I gotta go. They're like, wait, we love you. It's like this human nature to like want what they can't have. So if it's like an actor is unavailable, they were like, damn. But there's like 100 great actors sitting in the waiting room that they're like, meh. You know, it's just so bizarre. So it's like, you know, like I said to my kids, I was like, I made them wait till they were 18 to make this decision. My oldest son has gone back and forth, and then he's like, no, I don't want your life. I'm like, cool, whatever. But it is, it's a rough road. And, you know, at the same time, there are beautiful things about it. You get to go to many different places. It's not a traditional life. If you're, you know, not from a big family, you suddenly have this family that is born of your career and experiences and sets and places and stuff like this. You know, it's true. Yeah, there are beautiful things about it, but there's a lot of bumps in the road. Yeah, for everyone, even successful people.
Always.
Yeah,
always. So Rose, you talked about now we're in the digital age where everyone's very transparent, and that can be a very negative thing or a positive thing. I think in terms of creating for young filmmakers, it's good because there's the access. And so do you see your boys creating like even things as simple as like TikToks, or how do you think that's kind of affected the next generation of artists?
It is, it's a good thing, where, especially with music, where people can release things online and not have to have a big, giant, demonic record company, you know, taking 98% of your profits. You know, but at the same time, yeah, it is. It was odd for us as actors to suddenly have to become our own publicists, because before that, you know, the show had a publicist, and then you had a publicist, and it was sort of a whole different art form than having to like share a cooking recipe now. And I was introduced to the head of so-and-so network for a job that I had gotten by my Twitter numbers. This is Holly, she has this many followers. And I was like, and it was right where, well, we can say Twitter because it's no longer. But yeah, it was bizarre how that company and how Instagram became part of your bankability, part of whether they should hire you or not. So somebody with 3 million followers is going to get hired before somebody with 300,000 followers. Which I was like, well, I'm not good at this. This is not my department.
Yeah.
I mean, to share or overshare, that is the question.
It is. And yet it can be used as a way to reach people. If you do have a message you want to extend out there. So there's positives and negatives.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
So are your 3 boys pursuing acting? Any of them?
No, the oldest one was like, literally like, hey, I might wanna, he took some headshots, and then he was like, no, just kidding. And I was like, good, how about that college fund? And he's like, no. I was like, okay, I'll give you another year to think about it. But he's in the Marines, so.
Wow, that's amazing.
Good for him. Yeah, he needed to rebel real hard from being the complete opposite of me, so he went into the Marines, clearly.
No more vegan meatballs.
No more. Not there, but they are powder, so.
Be careful what you wish for.
That's right.
There's something really engaging about you guys, Shannon, Alyssa,
She would be here, but she's very busy with 90210 right now.
Yeah, Shannon. Yeah, she wanted to be here. I feel like it was magical casting, just to use like a really crazy word. But what do you think has kept you guys connected over the years?
Many family traumas. Just kidding. I don't know. We just, you know, I know who to call when I need to call someone.
I know who to call when I need to call someone.
Yeah.
There's just you can tell there's just a certain amount of trust, I would say, between you guys. So.
And I don't let Rose disappear. She tries.
I've tried.
I don't let her.
wrap things up, favorite memory from your time on this show that we're not talking about?
Which one? With a show called Voldemort. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Standout scene, favorite moment, favorite, in general terms, of course.
We've got a countdown. Now I feel the pressure.
For me, I liked Evil Enchantress. I hated the toga episode or whatever that is.
People love that one.
I know. And I was like, these are incorrect costumes for what you're saying we are. God damn it.
Attention to detail.
And then I was mad that there's only 2 leprechauns at my funeral when the other ones died.
She thought she should have more
actual friends.
I said, these are the only leprechauns we could get today. That's it.
Did you ever, I'm loving this side of your personality, I did not know. Did you ever go to the art department or the, script, supervisor or anyone and say, no, and this has to be different because of X, Y, and Z?
I only did that in the very beginning when every episode page would have a different, literally there was a guy who had no character name and he was laying flat on the sofa, and then the opening of the episode is Paige making out with this anonymous guy and then just popping up, and I'm like, they were doing that a lot, and I was like, yo, you need to stop. Yeah. So then Paige never had anybody, and I was also not realistic. But when you're working 12 to 17 hours a day for that long, I stopped fighting. I was like, whatever, have your microwave fucking Thanksgiving cookbook. Keep our wicker furniture, bitches.
Shirley hated the wicker furniture.
She hated that furniture.
Young lady.
It'd blow up, and I'm like, and there it is again. I hate wicker.
A lot of scenes in that sunroom, a lot of scenes.
But now I look at that damn wicker furniture with affection, which also makes me mad.
Right. See, full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle.
I'm like, oh, can't we just blow it up and put it back together one more time?
Holly?
We had an endless supply of wicker furniture in the basement, and clocks, and grandfather clocks. I know there's a number out there somewhere, but we literally blew up this grandfather clock multiple times, over 10 times, and it just kept on coming. So there's little silly things like that that's fun, but yeah, doing the podcast, we get to see it all over again.
For me, I miss a lot of the crew.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it becomes your weirdo family.
Yeah.
And I'll always have memories of them shooting spitballs at me from the art department while I'm in a scene. I'm like, excuse me. Or your ex-husband calling me freak as I walk by.
Yeah, he was, ex.
Fair enough, sorry, Karen. Fair enough.
That it was a term of affection, endearment for him.
Yeah,
I don't know.
his love language.
Exactly, yeah, hence the ex.
Yeah, bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
In the southern way.
In the southern hemisphere way.
All right, well, we're almost out of time, guys. So before we leave, I just want if you had to encapsulate the experience from this property in 1 or 2 words, what would that be for you?
Family. Home.
Stardust and magic.
Ooh.
Thank you guys so much for coming and joining us.
Give it up for these wonderful ladies up here. All right. Holly, if you wouldn't mind jumping down here to the table.
It's true. It's a true story.
Come on right down here. We're going to get one photo in front of everyone here. You come on down, face the group. And then I'm going to have you turn around. Face that way first. There we go. 1, 2, 3.
You guys are
Yes.
Power of 3 will set us free.
All right, speaking of the power of 3, let's get Claire over here and have you face me, and we'll get a group photo in front of the crowd. All right, wave your hands, make some noise if you want to be in this. Fantastic. Give it up one more time for these wonderful ladies up here and our amazing moderator. Let's give it up for Claire Kramer one more time. Didn't she do a fantastic job this weekend? Awesome. All right, you guys. Coming up next, I think you know what it is, right?